Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an absolutely fantastic day. And without any ado that is further, let's jump right into it. As you've been here before, we have another, I don't want to use the word ridiculous day, but another fully packed news day within the cryptocurrency space. This news was incredibly popular, and it took me a while to figure out why, but I think I got there. At the Fortune Global Forum, Jenny Johnson, president and CEO of Franklin Templeton, discussed the company's strategic integration of blockchain technology into their financial services. Managing over 1.3 trillion US dollars, Franklin Templeton stands at the forefront of integrating blockchain into the financial mainstream, evident from initiatives like launching a US regulated mutual fund on public blockchains and filing for a Bitcoin ETF. Yes, they are one of the 12 companies who's also trying to get a Bitcoin ETF launched out there. Johnson made a distinction between Bitcoin and blockchain because she's still living in good old 2015. She noted, "I think it's important that we differentiate Bitcoin and blockchain. Blockchain technology is going to enable access to things like private markets," end quote. The really weird part is that they're actually one and the same, and Bitcoin is on a blockchain. So once again, cool. Her vision for blockchain extends beyond cryptocurrencies. She said it's about the democratization of private markets by reducing the friction in transactions to securitize or fractionalize ownership of complex assets, end quote. For those of you who don't know, it's always a gigantic, and I mean like the size of a building, red flag if you ever hear someone extremely wealthy talking about democratizing markets. It means that they're basically trying to find other ways to make themselves richer and their friends within their actual friends group, because these people actually never care about democracy and or helping other people. Just throwing that out there. For those of you who also might have missed it, a large part of the cryptocurrency news as it stands is typically about cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, you name it. The other part that's really ramping up, and we heard about this years ago, and I mean like 2016, 2017, but now it appears to be possible and everyone appears to be on board, is actually basically putting items on a blockchain. So not physically taking your diamond or your home and shoving it into a blockchain, but kind of like the information that you would normally have stored at a government building or website or whatever, being on the chain so that it's kind of there forever. It's digital. The ownership of this home is digital. And as it is on a blockchain, you yourself, the owner of it, would be able to mathematically fractionalize it through the usage of a smart contract. That is to say, let's say at some point you're like, okay, I want to give this house to my kids. You have 3 kids, so you give each of them 33.3% of the home, and you maintain the last like 0.01 or whatever the actual case might be. Is you'll be able to do this as opposed to being like, how do I say this? You know how like families like fight over assets when a family member passes? Like that's kind of the idea, is that it kind of becomes a thing of the past as opposed to having to. Anyway, you understand that. And also the entire idea is that anything with value can also then be fractionalized as well. I made a video. This was on the other channel, Money Rules. I made this about a year or 2 ago, and I think maybe I didn't explain myself enough, or maybe people just didn't want to kind of understand. The name of the video was like, "You are never going to be able to own a home in the future." It was something along those lines. And I think people thought it was clickbait. No. The interesting part is that we see not only our normal investors, families, but also like institutions and like sovereign wealth funds and like mutual funds and institutions, what have you, are buying up tons of real estate. The idea is that in the future, they're basically going to own all of it. We've had that news before, as much as how much institutions will be able to own in the future, and basically in the future, normal people will not ever be able to own a home. The dystopian part of it is, let's say you in the future are like, I really want to get on the property ladder. So you're looking for a way to get into real estate. And one of the only ways for you to do it is find someone who on the blockchain has put their home there and is willing to fractionalize it. So let's say they maintain 40% or 50 or 60% of the home. And then the other 4 little brackets, they also allow you. So then you are able to buy 1/10 of the entirety of their home. And that's going to be the way, that will be the way in the future that a lot of people are ever going to actually get onto the property ladder. It is very, very fascinating, the world that we are rapidly moving into. And for those of you who have never heard of it or looked into it, look into the amount of real estate that sovereign wealth funds actually own. That is to say, like a government or a government family. There are a couple of them, a dozen of them, who own massive amounts of real estate around the world. Look up who owns. There's a family that owns, I believe, 10 to 15% of all the real estate within London. It's not the UK royal family. That's a hint there. Look at who owns around, I think, 30% of Rome. Anyway, that's a whole nother. That's an entirely different topic in and of itself. Here's the tweet for it right here. It says Franklin Templeton's Jenny Johnson on Bitcoin ETFs, investing in crypto, and how her firm is harnessing the blockchain. So we still haven't gotten to the point that was actually really popular. Elaborating on the efficiency blockchain brings, Johnson said, it's going to make more efficient the types of products you have today. Imagine you build a pooled vehicle on the blockchain. She envisions the technological shift leading to atomic settlement, which removes the potential for fraud. It takes out latency in the system. Basically, you can't really lie if it's inscribed on the blockchain and everyone can look at the information. You can't say that it's A when it actually is B. And the article continues. She talks about Bitcoin ETF. She's like, it's in the hands of the regulators, yada, yada, time frame. Always, she's like this, and she likes AI. And then we finally get to the part all the way like 30% near the bottom where we actually finally hear about her and cryptocurrencies. And this was the popular part. The CEO's personal investments in cryptocurrencies, though a small part of her portfolio, I assume she's a mega billionaire. So does small mean like 50 million? Is it like $500 million? Like what's small to a billionaire? Apparently she's holding Ethereum, Bitcoin, SushiSwap, and also Uniswap as well. Regarding future blockchain or crypto-related products, Johnson maintained, our job is to make the products available. That's so vague, it's ridiculous. This was incredibly popular news, and it took me a while to figure it out, like I said in the beginning, because I was like, why did this make super popular news? So people thought this was spectacular, wait for it, because she holds crypto. The idea is that this very wealthy individual holds cryptocurrencies and is expecting crypto prices to rise in the future. And her company has also filed for a Bitcoin ETF. You would assume that she had said something along the lines of like, I just bought every last bit of Bitcoin out there, come at me, or something like that. Nope. They filed for an ETF. They're still waiting. She owns Bitcoin and Ether and SushiSwap and Uniswap and MumiSwap and DubiSwap and all these other things. And this was one of the most popular news stories that we had out there. Isn't crypto fun? That's the Franklin Templeton's Jenny Johnson owns crypto news and plans on using blockchain in the future. I mean, I'm shocked. I would have never guessed from the news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in excessively popular news, recent statistics have revealed that MicroStrategy, the company who continues to buy up all the Bitcoin on the planet, has seen a significant increase of over 30% in their Bitcoin investments. The company has invested, here we go, a total of $5.3 billion into Bitcoin, with the current value of their Bitcoin Cash reaching roughly around $6.915 billion as well, marking a substantial profit of $1.6 billion on top of all of that. MicroStrategy has experienced this notable growth following Bitcoin's surge past $39,000. Keep that in mind. All these things were like recorded and written around the time Bitcoin had just passed $39,000. Currently, MicroStrategy stands as the largest holder of Bitcoin, probably of everyone, surpassing both public and private entities. Oh no. It's actually, remember this? There was a news story even before I started this channel, and it was one of the first things that we ever spoke about here. We were talking about the largest Bitcoin holders, and it is guesstimated that the Winklevoss twins might actually hold 200. Okay. Here was the news. I think back in 2013 or 14, it was believed that a decade ago from this moment, the Winklevoss twins already had over 200,000 Bitcoin. Just them a decade ago. And I remember saying in like 2017, 2018, I was like, wow, I wonder how many more Bitcoin they have now. The idea being they probably, after a decade, have not only bought just one more. They're probably the largest Bitcoin holders on the planet, and this is probably why we don't hear from them that much anymore. I assume they are sitting on an island somewhere that they own. I forgot all about that. Yeah, look that up. It's a very, very, very old article. They were talking about the largest Bitcoin holders like a decade ago. Currently, MicroStrategy stands as the largest holder of Bitcoin, surpassing both public and private entities, with the exception of governments and exchange-traded products such as Grayscale's GBTC. As of the latest update, the company holds, it says an impressive, but it's more like an egregious amount that no one entity should be holding, as Bitcoin is for the people. The company holds 174,530 Bitcoin. That's one company. Currently valued at $6.9 billion. And here's a little, I guess that's a chart. I don't know what this is. A photo? Okay. According to data from Blockchain Center, MicroStrategy's investment in Bitcoin totaled $5.3 billion. Yet, in his latest announcement, Michael Saylor stated that the company's total expenditure was $5.28 billion, averaging $30,000 per coin. This article primarily utilizes the figures provided by Blockchain Center for the overall analysis. Bitcoin hit 40K per coin on Sunday, as well as the report is based on Bitcoin at 39,650 per unit. Cool. Also very popular news. I don't think I've ever asked, how does everyone else feel out there about one company having this many coins? Like, how does, I assume you know my mindset behind it. I think it's interesting that we have a company who has gotten into the space and has adored Bitcoin as much as they have. But then the reality also is, like, they have a lot of Bitcoin, and that's just the company. Michael Saylor, the guy who runs the company, also has an egregious amount of Bitcoin as well. And I ask because I've noticed that a lot of people tend to not mind when other people have a large fraction of something. That is to say, they usually have the mindset, well, if I can have a crumb of what they have, then I normally don't care. But then you put it into the context of, like, there's only, 13 million Bitcoin that's actually out there for people, as it's believed that 6 million are lost and gone forever. Like, how would you feel if Bitcoin, riddle me this, how would you feel if Bitcoin reached $1 million per coin and we found out that there were only 200 people on the planet who held 99% of it? Like, what would that change your mindset about Bitcoin? I'm really asking, like, I really wonder what that would do to people's perception, because this is essentially, it's like 17, 18, 20 million people on the planet who will never have, and even more than that, who will never have an entire Bitcoin or even the 0.003. Anyway, very popular news, as you might have imagined. It has to do with MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, and people making profits on their Bitcoin. Yeah, the price has gone up spectacularly high over the course of this year. It is very nice to see, as the rest of the market is also moving up. That's the MicroStrategy news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in popular news, I guess, I'm not sure. The Swiss city of Lugano is apparently enhancing local adoption of Bitcoin by enabling citizens and companies to pay for municipal services and taxes all with crypto. The city of Lugano announced that the local administration now accepts cryptocurrency payments for taxes and all other community fees. Starting immediately, Lugano will only be accepting Bitcoin and Tether as a means of payment in an automated process through the Swiss institutional-grade cryptocurrency platform known as Bitcoin Suisse. According to the announcement, Lugano citizens and companies will be able to pay all local invoices, regardless of the nature of the service or the amount invoiced, with Bitcoin. This was also relatively popular. I'm not sure if it symbolizes in some sort of way like the extra ultra adoption of Bitcoin around the world, or what exactly it did for people. A number of years ago, you can find an article. This is old. If you Google it, type in US IRS now accepts Bitcoin. There was something also a decade ago, some kind of a news story where the IRS was also accepting Bitcoin for taxes. But it was like 4 or 5 years after Bitcoin came out, and I'm not sure how that was a thing. I doubt that it's still a thing. I haven't heard about any of it in a very long time. There have been a couple of other countries around the world who've also announced that they're accepting Bitcoin for payments of things, and it's generally always just for taxes of the local municipality in some sort of way. So cool. The idea is that in the future, you'll be able to use Bitcoin for all different types of things. And I guess we got to start somewhere. So it looks like the city of Lugano, which we've heard about like 87 times this year. I think it's the Italian Swiss city that basically is like the gigantic Bitcoin hub. All the people go there. They make their companies there. I think you can pay already for everything in Bitcoin, or most of the shops have like a little like Bitcoin Lightning Network symbol, so you can go there and buy stuff. And cool. Lugano's latest crypto move is part of Plan B, a collaborative effort with Tether to use Bitcoin technology as the foundation for transforming the city's financial system. Cool. Well, if you're there, if someone has visited there, I hope you have fun paying your taxes with Bitcoin, because I don't think many people are going to be giving up their Bitcoin, especially not to pay for taxes. That's the Lugano news. Okie dokie. Let's move on. This news gave me a headache, and I'll tell you exactly why. It's because it just would not end. It just kind of kept on going. This was also extremely popular news, and I'll get there. Cathie Wood's investment management firm known as ARK Invest has begun selling off Coinbase and Grayscale Bitcoin Trust stock as prices continue to hit higher as a result of the market-wide rally backed by Bitcoin's price surpassing $44,000. Meanwhile, ARK Invest is buying Robinhood in anticipation of a massive price upswing. Let me explain. The middle of last year, we had daily, and this was so annoying because it really doesn't, how do I say this? It doesn't really matter, but people in the cryptocurrency space keep trying to equate things to something else as if there's like a deeper meaning to everything. The middle of last year, ARK Invest is a company who has been trying to launch several Bitcoin ETFs. They've all been shut down, at least up until this point. Who knows what's going to happen sometime next year. They gained popularity out of nowhere for something nonsensical. Is that they started buying a huge amount of Coinbase stock, and they made it into the news nearly daily because this woman's company was buying Coinbase stock. Coinbase stock, Coinbase stock. She was at events, she was at promotion, she was sitting on stage, she was talking to people, she was laughing, she's smiling, and she was just talking about how much she loved Coinbase. Coinbase was awesome. Coinbase is amazing. I'm buying Coinbase. Coinbase is the future. And I was like, that's great. Can this please stop being in the news every day? Like, I don't care what her company is buying, especially when she's buying Coinbase stock and not an actual cryptocurrency. The tides began to change. This was also, I think it was this spring or this summer. There was a situation where, after a year of incessant buying, nonstop, every day, talking about it, it's amazing, I love Coinbase, they're awesome, they're fantastic, they started selling their Coinbase stock. The crazy part is that I believe the next day or the day after, Coinbase had a lawsuit against them from the SEC. That then was like, oh, that led to a lot of speculation, for those of you who don't remember, of like accusations of insider trading. Because if you've been buying this thing nonstop for a year and talking about how amazing and awesome and fantastic they are, isn't it weird that you sold 24 hours before Coinbase had a lawsuit against them? And then the next day, I also remember she started rebuying up Coinbase's stock, and she's like, I love them again. And I was like, And a lot of people on Twitter, I saw the insider trading or before knowledge accusations that were going on. So now we have a situation where Coinbase's stock has been going up over the course of this year because of for those of you who missed it, the 12 companies who are currently filing for a Bitcoin ETF. I believe they're all going to be using Coinbase as their custodian, crypto custodian. Why couldn't I say that? And also Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust has also been rising in value as well, as the expectation is now that they're going to get their trust converted into a fund like they've been trying to do. So essentially she's selling at a higher price. She bought lower, prices have increased, and now she's buying Robinhood instead, as she sees Robinhood as undervalued comparative to the other two companies. For some reason, this is controversial to a lot of people. People are wondering if she's selling off her Coinbase stock because something is wrong with Coinbase. Or why is she selling off her Grayscale Bitcoin Trust stock because is something wrong with Bitcoin? No, she made a profit. She made money, and now she's cashing in that money to buy something else that is worth a lot less than what she... You understand what I'm saying? But the problem is that this was incredibly popular news because people were like, does Cathie Wood know something? Is she trying to hint that Bitcoin's going down? This woman is into stocks. I don't understand. This was so popular. This was so incredibly popular. I can't over sideways state it. Like, I literally can't. So the news is that she bought stock. She waited and she sold. She made money, and now she's putting that money somewhere else. News. It's insane. This is still daily. Like the last 4 or 5 days, there's also been news like Cathie sold again. Good for her. I hope she made a hefty profit and then buys something else that also makes her money. Anyway, that's the cryptocurrency news has to really get it together, because this has a very similar vibe to 2018, 2019, whenever the Bitcoin futures that are based in US dollars were going up and down, and people were like, will Bitcoin also move? And it's like, it's not Bitcoin. Like, it's just people trading US dollars, and they slapped the name Bitcoin on top of it. There's no actual Bitcoin there. So as Coinbase is not a blockchain and Coinbase is not Bitcoin, she didn't sell off her crypto. So that's the Cathie Woods news. Okay, let's move on. Well, here we go. This was incredibly expected. I told you this was all going to happen. Now they're rushing back into the news. The official Shiba Inu Twitter account disclosed that the team is apparently moving closer to a massive Shiba Inu burn after incinerating 8.24 billion tokens just from fees. Wow. Shiba Inu achieved a major milestone recently after the team performed its first ever SHIB burn powered by Shibarium, the cryptocurrency's layer 2 scaling solution. If I scroll any further down, it's basically going to be like reiterations of what I just said. Shiba Inu is heavily back in the news nearly on a daily basis. This coin made headlines in, what was it, 2019, 2020? As like a rival in some sort of way to Dogecoin. They came out quite quickly and said, nope, they want to actually have their own ecosystem. And Shiba Inu has, I think, NFTs, they have smart contracts, they have a layer 2 solution. I think they were planning their own metaverse. I think that was also supposed to be a thing as well. Part of the issue inherently is that whoever made Shiba Inu made it with far too many coins. I'm not sure if someone's finger hit an extra zero or like 5 extra zeros or what ended up happening, but this project is incredibly popular. So they initiated a coin burn on the system and on, I believe, every cryptocurrency exchange. So as transactions are happening, these coins continue to get burned. The idea is that the more transactions, the more the burn happens. And this is because of the narrative around Shiba Inu that they're trying to get the coin to 1 cent. That is to say, like $0.01, literally 1 penny. And that's basically it. This is what the coin kind of has going on. I don't dig too deep into Shiba Inu. It's not like personally my preferred thing, but I know they have a lot of people who love this project, who are actively working to burn these coins, the extra coins that are behind the scenes, the things from the fees. We also just had news recently. I think their burn rate jumped by, what was it, like 7 million %? It was like a week ago we had this news, because like there's always Shiba Inu burn news. I think it was 7 million %, like not a fake number. It was in the millions of percentages. And they're trying to do even more so that there's less and less coins. I can say, under the assumption that by the time we get to the middle of next year, end of next year, or the middle of 2025, that they have burned enough to be able to get them to that 1 cent. Who we have not heard about is Terra Luna Classic, which is weird because Shiba Inu and Terra Luna Classic were in the news both together every single day about updates and upgrades and layer 2s and all these other projects they had going on. Terra Luna Classic has gone nearly completely silent, and Shiba Inu once again is popping up daily in the news talking about how many coins that they're burning. 8.24 billion tokens. I hope they get to 1 cent, as I always say. It's been interesting following the journey with them. Yeah, that's the Shiba Inu burn news. Let's move on. Also in popular news that is probably going to be with us for at least the next 2 years, we have seen an enormous amount of attention being paid to this in the last couple of years, and this will not stop anytime soon. The Federal Reserve, over the course of a 2-year period, raised interest rates higher than anyone was exactly expecting in trying to lower inflation that they caused. Really funny. They destroy the world and then they try to slowly put it back together by saying, well, Who cares about how many people have lost their jobs or their homes or anything else? Let's make sure that we continue to raise the interest rate so that we can save the economy. We have gotten to the point where there's a lot of speculation as to what the next moves are going to be. We have seen that this year the Fed has frozen interest rate hikes, which has only actually helped stock markets and also the cryptocurrency market as well, because people do assume that they're getting ready to turn the money printer back on, as we've seen in about 3 other major world economies this year. They announced that they have to start quantitative easing and or they have to start printing a little bit of money to throw into different sectors to be able to kind of lift everything up. Financial giant ING has predicted that the Federal Reserve will start cutting interest rates in the second quarter of next year. If they do this, the cryptocurrency market is going to skyrocket. Next year is probably going to be one of the craziest years of our lives because there's far too many things happening at the exact same time. It's the expectation of a literal dozen Bitcoin ETFs. It's the expectation of the halving, which we know that at least is going to happen. It's the expectation of interest rate cuts. There's something else. How do I always forget this? There's like another big thing that's also going to happen next year. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's also something else financial. There are far too many things like being shoved into the exact same box over and over. That's leading people basically to expect that we're going to see like a boom once again in the market. They said we are currently forecasting a 150 base points of rate cuts in 2024 with a further 100 BPs in early 2025. That is to say, they're expecting over the course of a year and a half that interest rates would fall by 2.5%. The idea is that even if they lower it by 1%, markets are going to continue jumping. If they do 150 base points over the course of 2024, this means that 3 times they're going to do a 0.5% increase, and we are going to see markets jump up once again as well. ING's chief international economist detailed, noting that the U.S. economic data confirmed there's no need for any further Fed policy tightening. We also heard that from a member of the Federal Reserve a week or 2 ago, who said that he thinks that at this point, what they've been doing has been working. They're going to keep an eye on it, but it looks like there's no need anymore to raise interest rates. When you lower the interest rates, people begin to take out debt more. Debt is issued in the United States and basically all over the world by printing more money. You can even do it digitally on the computer, as a lot of it isn't actual paper money anymore. And it's going to make things go completely bananas. And if this happens over the course of the time that the cryptocurrency market is also rising, we're all going to have fun. Global financial services firm ING chief international economist James Knightley published an article last week outlining why he expects the Federal Reserve to start cutting interest rates next year. Citing U.S. data showing modest growth, cooling inflation, and a cooling labor market, the economist emphasized that is exactly what the Fed wants to see. He said, and I quote, "This should confirm no need for any further Fed policy tightening. We expect rate cuts from the Fed from the second quarter onwards," end quote. Now, and I'll say this little part right here because I refused to actually have it in any video. Over the last couple of days, you might have heard that Jamie Dimon has once again been Jamie Diming himself all over again. While I do not stand for or champion or even love banks, I will say it is very nice to see that that ING simply gave us news. That is to say, ING was like, hey, we looked at the numbers and it looks like the interest rate might drop over the course of the next 2 years. Period. That's how financial news should be from a financial giant. If you missed it, Jamie Dimon was recently in the news talking about if he was the government, he would unplug Bitcoin. If he was several different countries, he would make sure that he destroyed Bitcoin. If he did so, and it's like, well, you're not. No one cares about you. You only care about yourself. Like literally, you only care about yourself and your money. Jamie Dimon has been like Peter Schiff's like weird brother who like stands in the background as everyone's taking the family picture. He consistently is trying to like make it seem like Bitcoin is some type of like devilish, horrible, terrible, evil thing, when it's like you're Jamie Dimon. Like, you control one of the dirtiest banks that has ever existed in the history of humanity, and you have the nerve to even like lie to us and pretend like you don't own Bitcoin or don't have a huge amount of exposure to it in some sort of way. If you can sit there and believe that Jamie Dimon, who's also friends with all the other rich bankers and BlackRock and all the other types of minerals and stuff out there, that he doesn't have Bitcoin or doesn't have exposure to it in some sort of way, that's not at all how money works. When you get rich enough, you literally have exposure to everything. So recently he was in the news doing what he's been doing for the last couple of years. Now, I mean, if we had never heard from Jamie Dimon ever, and this was his first time popping his head out of the rabbit hole, I'd be like, maybe there's something to it. But you can find all the way back to like 2014, Jamie Dimon consistently noting how Bitcoin is terrible, Bitcoin is horrible, blockchain over Bitcoin, and all these other things. And the best part is that he, much like Peter Schiff, his other brother, they're not really brothers in real life, but like they have consistently been wrong nonstop over the course of the last decade. So yeah, I refused to actually have like, a tab open for it, simply because it's complete nonsense. And I hate that these people so brazenly, I think is the word that I'm going to use, make sure that they lie to the public. Like they're actively lying. And we've heard this from other bankers and from other billionaires over the course of the last 10 years. They say that Bitcoin's terrible, Bitcoin's horrible. And these are the same exact people who popped out in 2020, 2021, talking about how amazing Bitcoin was and how they've been buying for a number of years. Very frustrating that you can like actively lie to make sure that people don't get into a market that you know is going to do well. Yeah, I think that is going to do it for this video. I do sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.